As the full icy grip of winter finally releases its hold upon the testicles of Northwest Washington, I found myself enjoying the sounds of many winter-themed albums, from Before the Dawn's Winter Within to August Burns Red's Sleddon Hill. It's a surprise to me that I almost completely missed out on the album that I'm going to be reviewing today, being that it's not only a winter-themed concept piece, but it's a band that blends a large amount of my favorite genres into one glorious melting pot. I digress. On to the review. Here is Wintersun's Time 1. I was actually very lucky to even get my hands on a copy of this. In fact, I had to buy a plane ticket over to the east coast of the United States. I had to sneak into a house and steal it from an esteemed collector of all things heavy metal. Barely made it out of there with my life intact.
Hey!
Jesus, hi, Pat, how's it going?
Hey, I was just going through my CD collection and I happen to notice that my Wintersun album is missing. And you just happen to be doing a review on Time 1 as we speak. You wouldn't happen to know where it is, would you?
Being ripped onto my computer as we speak?
I didn't just make that CD appear out of nowhere, alright? I stole it from a homeless guy. Do you know how hard it is to find a homeless guy in America who listens to Wintersun? Do you?
Ugh, God damn it, that guy thinks he's so high and mighty because of his goatee. Ugh.
Hey, my goatee is fantastic and everybody knows it. Now give me back my CD, you thieving jackass!
And we're done with that. God, that guy's an asshole. Anyways, now, here's some brief information about Wintersun, and how this band came about. Originally started as a side project by Yari, I'm not even going to try and say his last name, the once lead vocalist and guitarist of Ensiferum, with hopes of creating a much more majestic and melodic sound than Ensiferum was known for. In 1995, he began picking and choosing songs from the Ensiferum catalog that were works in progress, and began using them as a starting point for his albums. After a scheduling snafu, in which he needed studio time to record for Wintersun, he was fired from Ensiferum. Thus, Wintersun became his sole creative direction, and it's pretty much been history from there. And that's pretty much it. Though I definitely have heard of this group prior to me sitting down and purchasing the, purchasing the album. I've never really had a nagging urge to listen to them. Oh, how wrong I have been. I was quite literally blown away when listening to this incredibly well done album, partly because of how good it sounds, and partly because of the icy wind that was blowing me around outside. Don't take walks for pleasure in 30 miles per hour wind, kids. It's unpleasant, really. It is. As for the depth of each song, they're all rumored to have at least 200 layers. Yes, you heard that right. 200 layers. If Yari was trying to peg that epic feel, he definitely succeeded, creating some of the most memorable material of 2012. With Japanese-influenced melodies, beautiful acoustic passages, symphonic pieces that will lift you into a state of musical nirvana, and vocals that fit literally every situation perfectly. The first track on the album, When Time Fades Away, is where most of these Japanese motifs, sounds, and melodies really shine through. With instruments from the country being used, along with more mainstream strings, they combine together to make a beautiful representation of the good that can come from combining different styles and different influences. And yes, it isn't metal, but it fits perfectly with the album's theme and concept. It creates an ethereal air that is obvious and palpable throughout the album, even in its heaviest parts. It's probably one of my favorite metal tracks to come out this year, and it's not even metal. Our next piece to be found on this winter release is Sons of Winter and Stars. This track is actually very interesting, as it is divided into 4 parts or movements, much like a classical symphonic or orchestral piece. Again, the staggering layers of sound are ever present all through this song. The band is heavy as all hell, and Yari's fantastic vocals give it a guttural flair, and the orchestral portions inject moments of genius into this track, like a pot roast being injected with a marinade. Other than Time, this is definitely my favorite track on the album. It's so good that I've caught myself growling and singing along with it in public. I live by a church. I get some awkward stares. So all in all, it's just an astounding display of great songwriting at its best. Next on the list of amazing tracks from this amazing album, I'm gonna keep saying amazing, I know, is Land of Snow and Sorrow. This song, being one of the much heavier tracks on the album, starts off with an ascending guitar riff that sounds like it was ripped straight out of a modern interpretation of J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. This ascending riff is a great way to gauge the tone of this song. Epic, yet subdued. Grandiose, but at the same time mellow. This riff, being the central motif, along with all the other elements, makes this one hell of a listen. Not very many albums, much less songs, can showcase such awesome depth and not sound overly cheesy or forced. Our next piece on this fantastic album, Darkness and Frost, just so happens to be another non-metal song. There's a constant reverse guitar riff playing throughout the entire track, along with the main, normally played guitar tracks. This gives it a sense of distorted depth of field that is usually hard to capture in music unless you're thinking of a song like Pow Our Talk H by Pink Floyd. This is admittedly just an intro bit for the album finisher, Time, which we'll get into in a moment, but it's so good on its own, just like the other non-metal song on this album, that it can be listened to on its own and it won't detract from the experience. Now, it's time for the crescendo of the album, Time. The song, Darkness and Frost, flows into this fantastic piece like water into a lake. I mean, what can I say about this song that hasn't already been said earlier about other songs? It's fantastically written, combines those Japanese influences and motifs with the amazing and crushing guitar and vocal work of Yari, all while retaining an air of sophistication. Time and time again, no pun intended, I will throw this track on expecting a pleasant listening experience. But oh, I get much more than that. I feel like I'm being transcended into another time, into another place, and into a great adventure through the mountains of yore. I implore you to give this song, if nothing else, your undivided attention. You'll not regret it, and I think you'll agree that it is one fantastic piece. Also, clocking in at 11 minutes and 45 seconds, it is the second longest track on this album, and one of the longest I've listened to out of the year. Luckily, you won't even notice the length, as time, again, no pun intended, will just fly on by. This has been one fantastic album to sit down and listen to. Full of chilly surprises, shiver-inducing melodies, and mind-numbingly good instrumental work from everyone involved. I'm going to give this astoundingly good album a 7 out of 10. But, I can hear you ask, what about all the praise you've given it? What of all the niceties and kind words you've given this, in your own words, magical selection of music? My answer to those questions? It was just so short. I loved every second, every moment, every rasp, every growl, every high-soaring note sung, and every slaying guitar riff. But what I did not love was being jarred to a stop at only 40 minutes in. That's almost to the length of an EP. Luckily, however, Yari will be releasing the second half of this album in 2013. "2014, huh? Hopefully I'll be able to finish the listening experience soon. Anyways, this is Tony with Bellingham Brothers Productions, reminding you to have a very metal Monday.